Swipe up to subscribe.
Oh, I hate us.
I hate us too. Okay. And
we did
action.
this look today on my.
Hey
she
guys.
did this.
Welcome back to my channel. This is Jordan, and this is her face, and this is what we did to it today. So if you want to look like Jordan, keep watching.
Relax, buddy. Thank you for guarding us. We really appreciate it.
Angel.
Okay. Am I in frame? Am I okay right here? Oh,
Yeah, that's
okay.
like perfect. We're perfect. Hi guys. My name is Trish, and this is my friend Jordan.
Hi.
And we are here today to talk about Reiki.
Yes.
Reiki healing. I recently had an experience with a Reiki healer that Jordan had recommended to me, and so I wanted to share with her a little bit about my experience and hear more about her experience.
Wild.
and just talk about what Reiki is, because it is kind of wild. It is
Yeah.
a very different method of healing than traditional Western therapies. So we're gonna get into that, and while we're talking about that, I'm gonna be doing Jordan's makeup. So we're gonna do a very like neutral, beautiful, soft glam today. And yeah, I think we could probably jump right into it. So let me prime you first.
Okay. So I've been dying to hear. You haven't told me anything since your session.
Okay. So first of all, this healer, is that the right term, by the way?
Yeah, I think so. That's what she
Okay.
calls herself to me anyway.
Okay, so first of all, this healer, I walk into her place and it's like hundreds of crystals.
It's like a full shrine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was
So,
insane.
so I walk in and I see all of that, and I was like, wow, okay, got it. And she kind of sat me down and talked to me a little bit about like if there was anything that I wanted to work on, or like why I was there, basically. And so I just explained to her like a little bit about myself and what I was doing there. And then she asked me if any of the crystals were like calling out to me. And so we like picked out a few, and she smudged them, which I don't know.
To clear out the bad energy.
Okay.
Because she goes through your different chakras, and she's clearing out your chakras essentially.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've picked out a few because I've gone to her a few times. And one that I picked out, she'll tell you, it's like, that's interesting that you're drawn to that one because that one is for this, and a lot of the time it's for like something that I told her that I wanted to focus on that day, or stuff like that.
I see.
It's interesting.
I see. Yeah. So
what did you think about the singing? She also uses like sound healing too.
yeah. So
She sings to you, which is very interesting and new if you're not expecting it.
first of all, the notes that she was able to hit were impressive.
It's amazing.
She has like a very good voice. But yeah, it definitely like it caught me off guard when she first started, because she uses these
did I tell you?
You did.
Okay, good.
You did, yeah.
I would feel so bad if I didn't give someone a heads up on that.
Go ahead, you can drink your coffee.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was expecting it, but I just didn't know like how the singing would come out, or like how intense it would be, I guess is the word. And it was intense, like sound. I felt like it was a sound bath.
Yeah.
Like that's, and I've done a sound bath before, so I'm kind of familiar, but that's what it felt like to me. It was like,
see, I've never had a sound bath before, but now that you say that, like, that's probably how I would describe it, especially with the bowls and everything that she uses too.
Yep. So that was wild. And then that went on, the singing and the bowls, for probably like an hour.
Yeah. My first session was, I think, an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's about how long we went. And then we kind of sat there and just chatted about what she had received on my behalf, I guess.
And seen.
And seen, yeah. And so, so the first thing that she said to me was that she felt that I had a lot of angelic presence around me, and that I had spent a lot of time in the angelic realms, and she had been visited by my 3 archangels while we were there, and they had kind of expressed that they were there, like my guardians watching over me. And then there was like one angel in particular who was like my homegirl angel, and she was like,
we need one of those.
Yeah, seriously. And she was like, I'm always here, I'm always watching, but like it's hard to help when you don't ask for help. It's like, to me, was saying that, which was interesting. So I was like, okay, fair.
So ask for help if you need it.
And then she also went into some of the past life stuff, and which I just think is so interesting. Like, I just think it's really interesting, and I think it's really cool, and yeah. So
what were you in your past life?
So
quit playing with me. Get into it.
She told me that I was a prostitute in my past life.
Well, I mean, if the shit is trash. I'm just kidding.
She
just cut
straight
that out.
up was like, you did what had to be done to survive. And I was like, but I was also like,
oh, it's okay.
I do own a lot of leather and fur. So,
I mean,
if the shoe fits.
If the shoe fits, sister, I mean, just accept it.
But that was a little rattling, I guess, to hear someone tell you that you were a sex worker in your past life. But she also told me that then in another past life, I was a queen in either ancient Egypt or Mesopotamia, which I was like, duh.
That I see. What is Mesopotamia? Is that another question?
I don't fucking know. It's like
I've never heard
one
of that
these
in my life.
ancient cities that we studied in like global studies in middle school, and it was like an ancient civilization, basically.
Okay, I see. That's really cool. I totally see the Queen of Egypt thing.
Yes, me
that
too.
Makes so much sense.
Thank you.
I was
like,
energy.
Yes, that's really good.
Keep them coming.
Yeah. She told me that I suffered a lot of like death and persecution in former lives.
Interesting.
Yeah, she said that I was like someone who had a lot of like conviction, and was like very gritty, kind of like the doing what had to be done to survive, kind of before my time type of character. But because of that, I suffered a lot of persecution, and she made it sound like I was like killed like many times, like in many lives, like I was like murdered. Which is also like, I mean, that could explain the like horrifically violent dreams that I always have.
She told me in my past lives, I've been a soldier as a man in 2 wars. Which I'm not surprised that I've been a man in a past life. Can be a lot of big dick energy with me sometimes.
Love it, sister.
Hey, at least I know it. I'm aware of it. But she told me I was a soldier in 2 wars. One was a more ancient war, and one is a more modern war. And that I was also a painter in a past life, which I thought, and I didn't tell her anything about the makeup stuff. Like, I didn't tell her that was like my obsession. I didn't tell her any of that. Because I was a painter.
And for those of you who don't know, Jordan is also a makeup artist here in Austin, and she's amazing, and that's how we met. And so her hearing that she was a painter in one of her past lives does not surprise me at all.
It was really, really cool. And I was like, oh yeah. So she said the left side of my body was my shield in the 2 wars, but it's also the feminine side of my body, and that like my soul, and like I've been on a huge like self-healing journey these past couple months is really when it started. And like she's like, the left side of the body is the shield, but it's also the feminine side of the body. And so she's like, you are reclaiming your feminine side, and that's why like you were having a reaction to, or like you were kind of resisting the healing a little bit because it's your guard. Whenever you really need to open it up and like not cower away from it. So that was super interesting. And I definitely don't like live and die by what is said in that. It's
Right.
just more of kind of like a guidance, and like you said, allows you to kind of sit back and maybe look at it from different perspectives, or, you know, using the information she shared to kind of try to understand it from a different
Yeah.
level.
And I think sound in general, because she does so much with sound.
Yeah.
Sound is like very healing, and so even if you don't do it in the context of a Reiki session or like a reading, if you will, you could just do a sound bath. Like they do them at a lot of yoga studios, and they'll do like a gong sound bath or something, and it's just like a little 20-minute thing at the end of a yoga class that just like cleanses and clears energy, and is really, it's just really cleansing.
Yeah.
I find.
Yeah. I mean, we're supposed to do it.
She said it so nonchalantly, and I was just lying there just like trying to receive it like so graciously.
But my second session, everything was in Technicolor when I closed my eyes, which I've never experienced that before, and I just had different faces like coming in and out of focus, and all the faces, they weren't people I knew, like I didn't necessarily recognize them, and it was happening the whole time. And I told Tina that as soon as it was done, or no, this was before I told her, but she goes, have you ever had any paranormal experiences, occurrences, like any spiritual kind of connections? And I was like, yes, it happens all the time. Because like I will just feel the presence, and I'll feel it, and like especially with my granddaddy, he died when I was like 12, but we were super close, and I'll just have these moments where I'm like, oh yeah, granddaddy's in the room.
Wow.
Yeah. Or like I will get a sudden urge to like reach out to someone, even if I haven't talked to them in years. Like I will get a sudden urge to like do something or reach out to someone, and every time they're like, how did you know that I was just thinking about you right now? Or, disclaimer,
right.
Neither one of us are psychic. We just are females who know how to listen to our gut.
That's exactly right.
Exactly. People are gonna watch this and be like, these bitches are talking about how they're psychic right now.
Also, we are witches in a coven, so deal with it. She's a witch! Well, I guess I should ask, do you usually leave those sessions feeling more energized or more like drained and kind of like, oh, I need to just like go home and be alone and process this?
That's how I felt after my first session. I was just like, that was so heavy and so spot on in so many ways. And there was a lot more like sensitive information that she shared with me that had to do with like experiences like from, you know, my life now. And so it was just like getting hit by a brick wall in a way. But then she told me, she was like, you probably feel like, you know, flustered or like just heavy, but then you should feel like just more calm, like mental clarity, like at peace. And so I did, like I just felt more calm after that. And once I was able to process it, I felt like it, you know, got a lot better. And then after the second time, like with the Technicolor and the faces coming in and out, she was like, yeah, all of your spirit guides were coming through.
And have you ever done like, have you ever had like similar psychedelic experiences? Wow.
Yeah, no.
So you had that just from...
That's why she asked me, I was like, have you ever had any like spiritual like experiences or connections? I said no, and she was like, because what you were seeing when you closed your eyes was all of your spirit guides coming through, which was wild. I was like, okay. The second session I felt a lot more like energized, just because it was like positive, and like it was after I have really been focusing on like my healing and just really like pushing like my own limits when it comes to that, because there's so much that I've never like actually like dealt with or handled, and so it was just more encouraging of her telling me that all my spirit guides were coming through to tell me like I've been doing a good job.
Have you done like traditional therapy, like just like normal talk therapy?
I found myself just annoyed after going to actual therapy.
Interesting.
I was
I've had that
always
experience
just
before.
like each person, even though I really liked her, and I was just annoyed because I felt like there was just nothing that they could do to help me besides like helping me like organize my thoughts.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I just found myself getting annoyed every time. But doing the Reiki along with, I started journaling every day using the holistic psychologist on Instagram. Follow her. It's all about...
It's a good follow.
Oh my god. Just trauma bonds, and I do her future self journal. And like reparenting yourself. She really focuses on that. It's the best thing I've ever done.
Have you heard of Lacey Phillips?
Mm-mm.
Lacey Phillips is another one who does like reparenting and a lot of shadow work.
Yep. It's amazing.
So I've listened to her podcast. I haven't actually done the like workbook style journaling activities and such, but I've heard a lot of people get so much value out of that type of like reparenting and shadow work.
Yeah, I mean, and I do the journaling and everything, which I'm so mad at myself for not starting to do earlier in my life, because just like getting it out of your brain, like I feel just so much more clear and calm and not as anxious. And like I've had things that I've written down in that journal, and going back and reading it a couple months later, it's manifested already. And I didn't realize it until I read it, and I was like, holy shit. Like that happened.
I think journaling is one of the most valuable practices that you can implement in your life. Like,
yes.
When I go back and read my journal entries, even from last year, from 2 years ago, I'm just like, man, I've grown so much.
Yeah, and it's so cool. It's a
very
cool
encouraging
gift to yourself, almost.
Yeah.
Okay. So we just dove into Reiki and our experiences, but did not explain what it was. So,
how should we explain this to the people in layman's terms?
So the word Reiki is made of two Japanese words, rei, which means God's wisdom or the higher power, and ki, which is life force energy. So Reiki is actually spiritually guided life force energy. And it says here, a treatment feels like a wonderful glowing radiance that flows through and around you, which I feel that way.
Oh, I left glowing.
Yeah.
And like for the rest of the day, I was like floating around, like just being like, huh,
it's amazing.
I'm a fairy.
And then Reiki treats the whole person, including body, emotions, mind, and spirit, creating many beneficial effects that include relaxation and feelings of peace, security, and well-being. Many have reported miraculous results.
Wow.
Finding out you were a prostitute in a past life.
Being one.
Yeah. I can go either. But Reiki is a simple, natural, and safe method of spiritual healing and self-improvement that everyone can use. It has been effective in helping virtually every known illness and malady, and always creates a beneficial effect. It also works in conjunction with all other medical or therapeutic techniques.
Wow.
Too.
Yeah, and I think like the interesting thing to me is, or the thing that I would like take away from this is that you don't necessarily have to believe in what some might consider like woo-woo shit, or you don't have to be into crystals or into like moon phases or anything like that. It like the way I think of it is, if it lifts your energy and if it leaves you feeling cleansed and lighter and having a clearer mind and a more open heart, then what is the harm in it? It's you know, you're not gonna do more damage to yourself by going to these types of like alternative healing method sessions. At the very least, you'll benefit from it. And at the very worst case scenario, you'll leave just being like, wasn't for me. I'm not saying, neither of us are saying that Reiki or like any type of alternative medicine or alternative healing should replace Western medicine for clinical issues, but I do think that they can be a really nice supplement to whatever you are doing.
Yeah, like for me, I have been a few times just in supplement to like everything that I'm doing internally, just trying to clear out like all the old bad energy in a way. And I had no idea, like I don't necessarily like believe in like all this stuff, but after the experiences that I've had, I'm like, this has been amazing for me personally, and I've really appreciated it, and I have benefited from it. So for me, I love it,
which is amazing.
Yeah.
And I think it's
not going to be that way for everyone.
Yeah, and I think it's so rare that you hear that, that you like hear people talk about experiences that they have that have benefited them in a way that is mental health related, spirituality related, physical health related, and it doesn't involve taking a pill. It doesn't involve any substances at all. It just involves an experience that you have with another human being that is healing in and of its very nature. And so that's something that I think we tend to turn our nose up at in Western society. But if we trace back to our roots, these things are very ritualistic and ceremonial in nature, and at its very, very, very core, it is one human being nurturing towards another human, which is, in and of itself, healing.
Yeah.
So
it's healing and it's love.
And it's love.
Yeah, it can't hurt.
Yeah, and I've been working on being more open-hearted. Open-hearted?
Vulnerable?
Also that, for sure.
That's been a big thing for me.
Yeah.
Big thing for me.
Yeah. And now it's funny because now I notice a lack of vulnerability so much more in other people because I've been doing so much of the work on myself. And previously, like my family and close friends, even just a couple days ago actually, I was with some girlfriends and one of them was like, I need you to keep practicing being more vulnerable. And I was like, fair. Okay, I will.
Noted.
But since I've been doing all of this work on being more heart open and being more vulnerable, it is funny how like I now see it in other people when they clearly have an issue with vulnerability, like it's on your fucking sleeve. Like I can see that shit so clearly now that I'm like, oh, that's what people were seeing with me. And
you notice those defense mechanisms
a
lot easier. It's like that's their own stuff that they're going through. It's nothing personal.
Not a reflection of me.
Yeah.
Not a reflection of you.
Which is a huge sign of maturity and progress for us too. So
woo, baby. Personal growth.
Like my skin, it looks amazing.
Yeah, you look airbrushed this time. Okay, I'm gonna do a sign off now.
Okay. Are we doing an introduction? Like, if you wanted to achieve this look, keep on watching.
Oh, we should. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I feel like that's what all the actual YouTubers. Okay, fix my hair. Go out on the town after this.
So beautiful. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Please click to subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos every week. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye. That took a bit.
Woo! Those are hard.